sis, you okay?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hey Sis, You Okay? I'm your host, Kelly Robinson.
And I'm Kai Robinson.
Thank you for being here today. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, sis?
I'm hanging in there. It's been a week, but it's Black History Month, and we are excited to introduce you all to our guest today. And Jovon, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Jovon Miller. I'm here today. I'm here today to hang out, yeah.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. So Jovon is a tap dancer, and he also has a tap dance mentorship program. So we want to get into the nuts and bolts of all about you, Jovon. So first, tell us, how did you get into tap dance?
Actually, it's a really interesting story. I did Lindy Hop, which is vernacular jazz dance, before I did tap dance. And I wanted to compete and get really good at it. So I auditioned for So You Think You Could Dance many years ago. Took my partner with me to go audition, and there's a bunch of rounds before this part that you see on TV. And I got through all those rounds and into the part where you get to see the stuff on TV, but then I got cut. And as I was leaving, I was watching this girl do tap dance, and I was like, oh, I could do that. And she was pretty decent. And then I went home and I asked my wife, can I take some tap? We were both in college at the time, so we were poor. I don't know how that's different than now, but we didn't have the money, really, a lot of money really. She's like, yeah, you can get some tap shoes and you can take a couple lessons and we'll see how it goes. But I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. And I'm like, what? So I passed my first teacher up in 3 months. Wow. And then she came to me and said that I have nothing more to teach you. You need to find another teacher because I'm just taking your money. So I had to seek out a tap instructor, and I was going to Western Washington University at the time in Bellingham. And I had to, basically, when I found a teacher, I had to call a bunch of people to go around. I had to drive an hour and a half each way to take lessons once a week. Wow. I worked at it. And eventually, the two owners of the studios, this was Johnson and Peters Tap Dance Studio at the time, they gave me a full ride scholarship because of the amount of work that I was doing, and they put me in the advanced class in my first year of tap dancing. Wow. And that was a tap studio. Wow. And that's what they did. And after that point, as long as I went to that school, I actually didn't have to pay for classes. They really believed in what I was doing. So I drove down to take my private lesson, but I took every class before it. I didn't care if it was beginning. I didn't care what level it was. I need to be in here and learn. If I'm taking a beginning class and I'm not a beginner, I'm going to learn how to perform. Right. That's the thing that I feel like that's a lot of stuff that's going on right now is I need to move up. I need to move up. I need to move up. Well, you didn't really master the stuff down at the level you were supposed to do. So moving up that's just, you just want to get the check mark, or do you want to fully understand what you're doing? And that was my mission, is to fully understand what I'm doing. That's why I took the beginning class and the intermediate class and then my class and then a private lesson. Wow. And that was every Saturday, I believe it was. And then during that process, while I was going to school, depending on the time of the year, I practiced about 3 to 4 hours a day, a lot of the time in the middle of the night. Especially after I graduated, because I had access to a studio. So that's when I got a lot of stuff down. That's pretty much how I got started into tap. Before that, I was a professional musician. I played saxophone, flute, clarinet. I've played with people on the radio. I've been in Benaroya Hall. I've performed in high school, actually, in Carnegie Hall. Last August, I just played music at the Fifth Ave for Duke Ellington's After Midnight. I also did tap, but in place on the stage in my seat when I was when I was playing. And so music has kind of, in one way or another, been a part of my whole life, because as a tap dancer, I am a musician. Right. And so it just kind of transferred over. Does that help?
Yes,
that's
that
great.
does.
Thank
And
you.
that's amazing, Jovon, to pass up your first teacher in that amount of time that you did. I don't know. I haven't heard that from
Yeah,
anyone
that's
else,
apparently
you
that's
know?
not
That's-
typical.
I don't think so.
don't think so
So
either. No.
that's very amazing. But can you tell us a little bit more? So you were doing the Lindy Hop, which is known as swing dance, right?
Yeah, it's a type of swing dance.
Type of swing dance.
Yeah,
right.
and vernacular jazz I'm gonna make it a little easier to understand. So Lindy Hop is in the genre, and so is tap, is in the genre of vernacular dance. And vernacular jazz dance are dances and moves from the late 1800s through present day that is done to authentic jazz music, meaning you have bass, drums, maybe you have trumpets, saxophones, trombones, or a combination of those things. And those movements have been gradually changing over time and added on to over time. So Lindy Hop is a form of vernacular jazz dance,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So
Yes.
other parts of jazz dance would be Charleston, Black Bottom, basically any of the and those were like Charleston is a whole thing of movements by itself. But then you get individual movements like the Suzy Q or Fall Off the Logs, but all of these movements are in that genre of vernacular jazz. And this vernacular jazz thing is different than modern jazz. Al Menz was one of the big people who helped bring vernacular jazz, and he traveled around the world. And his daughter is actually one of my good friends, and she's an amazing person. But he was one of the people that brought all of this jazz around the world. He was doing pretty much everything. He was even on a set of what is the guy's name that did the Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner actually had a show for jazz, and most people don't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it wasn't about his normal thing.
Right,
It was
yeah.
actually just to promote like jazz and jazz dancers and things like that. He had Al Menz come on that show. So underground, it seems like, you know, this whole genre has just been there trying to fight, and there's been resurgence and things like that over time. But this genre of vernacular jazz, which is huge, has been a part of my life because I started playing jazz. You know, that's the first thing I started doing when I played music was I played clarinet, and then immediately let's try to do the jazz band, pick up saxophone, figure out how it works. And that's how I started my career.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your love for tap and how it totally drew you in, and how you kind of took a different path from doing the Lindy Hop to coming into this tap?
That was a lot of, so the journey moving from Lindy Hop and music, because now I mostly I do tap, contemporary, modern. I have my degree in dance. I'm primarily known for tap because there's not a lot of tap dancers that are around with that much education. It's pretty rare to find somebody that one has the history and has the technical and intellectual ability to teach it to another person at the level. So like my ideology on tap, like what it is to me and like why I like it and all and everything about it, I get to do what I want to do, meaning I get to feel how I want to feel at that particular time and express that without having to use words. So sometimes people can't put emotions into words. I can do that in dance. I can do that in my tap. So if I'm not happy, I can take that out on the floor. If I am happy, I can take that out on the floor. If I have mixed feelings, I can take that out on the floor. That's the thing. And you know, I was playing jazz music, and one of the things that I think changed my pathway, I don't remember when it was, but I danced at the Masters of Tap in Lindy, and I played clarinet with some jazz, and I did some tap. And then I had all of my elders were there, the ones, you know, some of them, they're not around anymore. They watched me dance. I didn't know a lot of them at the time. I was fairly new to this. And one of my friends who's an organizer of one of the biggest events in Lindy events in Washington, Camp Jitterbug, comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, the elders want to talk to you." "What?" "They want you to come sit at the table. They need to talk to you." what did I do? Because, you know, that's a big deal, you know.
Exactly.
So I go and sit there. Come here, young man, sit down. Man, they got on my butt, man. Hey, you need to pick. What? No, you can't do both right now. You need to pick. You need to dance or you need to play music. You cannot do both right now because you just gonna be okay. Pick one, master that, and then you can do the other one.
Right.
And they were pretty harsh. And one of the guys there, his name was Skip Cunningham, and Skip Cunningham is actually a wonderful man. He's still alive today. He was one of the original LA Hoofers. Studied with John Bubbles. Studied with John Bubbles. What just happened here? So John Bubbles. He also studied with Bill Robinson. That's who it was. Okay. Bill Robinson. And my mentor also studied with John Bubbles as well, and he worked with Skip Cunningham as well, Chester Whitmore. And the last time that I was working with both of them was at Camp Jitterbug, and I got to watch Skip perform in real life, which is like he's older, so to see that is special. To see that is super special. But he came and talked to me, you know, while the show was still going on, because I was one of the MCs for the show. And we were in the backstage, and he's like, that was the best time I ever had. And we were talking while the show was going on. He looks at me, he goes, you need to carry the ball. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, you're doing good. You need to carry the ball. And that's a big deal because in tap history, you know, that's been a thing. When Sammy Davis Jr. passed away, Gregory Hines was at his bedside, and he made the motion of passing the ball to him. Right. And so when I'm hearing that from somebody who really understands and who's been there and who's my elder and who's my mentor telling me that, I'm like, oh, I really have to do this now. It's not really an option because you're not going to just say that. You're not going to just say that to some random person. Right. So that's been a thing that I've been trying to promote and change, and that's how I got to the Anybody Can Tap thing, which is a program that I'm developing. So pretty much anybody can tap. You don't need shoes to learn how to tap. That's a misconception. In fact, Skip Cunningham wasn't allowed to use tap shoes when he first started taking tap class. He had to graduate into tap shoes. So the notion that you need tap shoes to tap is really quite annoying to me because that creates limitations for people who don't have the financial ability or the means to get the shoes. And it also creates a boundary for where and when you can practice. Right. If you can only practice on this specific wood floor with these specific shoes at this specific time, that's not how it originated. So now why are we limiting ourselves? I tap in these all the time. I tap in my regular shoes all the time because it still makes volume. It's just a different type of, you know, and this portrays to my, relates directly to my ideology on tap and like what my mission is and things like that. I feel like people should just be able to tap wherever they are and just learn and practice wherever you are. I teach classes where there are no tap shoes in them. Like if you don't have tap shoes, I don't care because the process is still the same. You can still hear the notes. It's just a different volume, pitch, and accent. So the way that I can best describe this is a tool for my foot. And I can change the tool the same way that a drummer changes their tool. Like they can use a nylon stick or a wooden stick or the edge of the sticks rather. They can use a mallet. They can use brushes. Same thing. So the brush is an extension or the drumstick is an extension of their hand. The shoe is an extension of my foot. So I can use a different shoe to produce a different sound. If I wear one pair of tap shoes and then switch to a different brand, a different type of tap shoe, it's going to sound completely different. Wow. So the tones actually do change, but I think the perception is tap is and
that's not the case.
Tap is supposed to be about music and expression and not just making beats the whole time. You can make music that includes rhythms and beats, but there's tonalities that we're not fully accessing as well with tap, and that's my mission we can do more than just this. We can add different things to it. There's different methods to learn how to do this. We have to fully understand the history in order to progress the art form, because if we take the culture out of the art form, we're creating cultural genocide.
Right.
So that's my ideology and why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want to change those things, and I want the world to have a better vantage point on what tap dance is and the history of tap dance, because it's directly related to American history.
It is, and I think that's powerful. And I think when you brought up, that tap gives you the ability to showcase your emotions, right? That's very powerful. And I think sometimes I forget that dance can be creative and emotional in that way as well. But kind of touching on that point, Jovon, about how tap is rooted in American history, I think people forget or don't even know how it is rooted in American history. Right. Can you share and explain how it is rooted in our Black history?
So a couple of things. Yes, I can do that. One, I don't know everything, because nobody does. Yes. Two, I'm always studying. And three, I can't give you all the information that I have at the moment, so I'm going to cut it down. Yes. So basically, I mean, tap is a combination of different elements coming together to create something, and one of those elements was slavery and oppression. And so, if you go back into times during slavery times, there was one of the most known stories that we have, Master Juba. William Henry Lane is his actual name. He went and studied and learned moves from a former slave named Uncle. Some people say it was his uncle, but pretty sure his name was Uncle. And he learned these moves and then took them to New York to 5 Points. 5 Points is now where Chinatown is, but 5 Points basically was the hub where people came in from the port in New York, and then either they would stay in 5 Points if they didn't have a lot of money, or they would travel somewhere else if they had enough money. But in particular, women that were not married or didn't have a partner, a lot of them came from Ireland during the potato famine. If they did not have a partner, then they would likely have to stay in the 5 Points, unless somebody would, court them and then maybe take them somewhere else. And 5 Points was considered the slums at the time. There were stories of police officers taking rich people to show them the defecation on the street, and then the poor people and things like that. This is history. It's weird.
Right. Wow, fascinating.
And so William Henry Lane, he went and challenged the Irish people because they worked in the same area. So in the 5 Points, Black people lived in the similar areas. Irish people were just barely above Black people in cultural aspects, as during that time. But they could work and talk together and things like that. So that's how competition started, because you'd have Irish step and you'd have tap dancers, and Master Juba would go up there and compete and try to. And I guess he won quite a few competitions, but then he would take the moves that he would see the Irish step dancers doing, and he would acclimate them into tap. Didn't necessarily happen the other way around, which is why tap is predominantly a black culture, and a lot of people say it's from the Irish people, it's from this. Well, if you look at William Henry Lane, Irish people didn't take what he did and then it didn't work that way. Right. So it has Irish influences, and there are Hispanic people, there are Irish people that contributed to tap. However, when we look at the totality of things, it seems it's predominantly a Black art form, and that Black art form got moved around. He traveled around a little bit, and then after that, people started picking up things started changing. We had obviously we had minstrel shows, and then after minstrel shows we had vaudeville, and minstrel shows kind of ended because basically the Black people were taking over and they were just out performing. And so what do? You make a new whole system, new whole venue. Right. And so vaudeville is basically a big chain of different theaters and organizations that you go on a route on, to do your show, and there'd be different people doing these shows, and ventriloquists, musicians, actors, dancers, things like that. And one of the original actually vaudeville theaters just in Seattle, the Triple Door is one. The Triple Door is
wow.
is a vaudeville theater. Ella Fitzgerald performed in there.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know
I
this.
didn't know that.
So there are still some venues that are still around, like the Triple Door, but a lot of them don't exist anymore. And in this realm of vaudeville, there were circuits. There was white circuits, and then there was black circuits. And the main black circuit was the TOBA, the Theater Owners Booking Association. And but you know, a lot of black people at that time used to call it tough on black asses, because that's what it was. You know, you had the rule of two during that time, which meant no one person, black person, could perform in white vaudeville because they were not allowed to show up any single white person. It had to be two black people.
Wow.
No one single black. And then the first person that was allowed to break that rule was Bill Robinson. So Bill Robinson, you know, he did his famous stair routine and all that stuff. He worked with Shirley Temple. That was quite controversial.
Right,
you know, a black man dancing with a little girl back then and everything like that.
Right.
But at the same time, that opened doors for me to be able to teach all the people that are here now. Okay. So TAP has been, you know, gradually moving up, a lot of it due to these people. During, you know, vaudeville, actually, one of those things that happened, during that time, rather, I should say, in 1926, a man named Leonard Reed and his partner Willie Bryant were hired to join the Whitman Sisters show. Whitman Sisters were one of the top performance troupes, longest performance troupes of all time, and they were tasked in one of their shows to come up with a finale for one of the shows they were doing. So they took a bunch of the chorus girls down to the basement area, and they spent, I think it was about an hour and a half working on a routine. The routine was originally called Goofus. It was supposed to be kind of funny, and it was danced to Turkey in a Straw. But yeah, it was danced to that song. And then so they did this, and then what they would do is take this thing that they made up, this dance that they made up. Oh, let's make this into a thing. So let's perform this at the end of a night at different shows. But then what we'll do is hey, does anybody want to come and learn the first part? If you got, because at that time people had shoes in the audience. You know, I'm gonna steal your job if you ain't good. Like, I'm ready. Hey, you know. So sometimes people had shoes in the audience. Sometimes people, you know, and then people who didn't, they dance in their regular shoes. So he, you know, Willie Bryant specifically would be the one to usually do this announcement, according to Leonard Reed. He would come up have them come up on stage, and they teach them the first section of the Goofus, and then. Hey, did you enjoy that? Yeah, okay. Well, I'll teach you the second part of the dance if you come back with two friends. So next night, people come back, more people come back. Okay, we're going to teach you the second part. Okay, you guys all come back again, bring a friend. I'll teach you the third part. More people. Come back again, I'll teach you the fourth part. More people. They did this. This is how Goofus started traveling around. Unbeknownst to them, 1931, they go up to a gig in New York, and there's a group there called the Three Little Words. Apparently, the main guy in I cannot remember his name right now. The main guy in the Three Little Words was one of the dancers in the show where they came up with Goofus, and he was down the stairs. He got fired, but he learned all that dance. So he learned how they did their show and their routine, took it. So they went there and did the same thing. Anybody want to come up and learn the dance? Yeah. Did the same thing. So Willie Bryant and Leonard Reed's watching this, and okay. So then they wait to, I think they waited till the next time they did it, if I'm correct. I could be inaccurate, but I think it was the next time they did it, not the same time. But they actually straight up called him out. They went on stage and did that. Hey, who taught you that routine? Went on stage. And then, you did. I'm sorry, what? You guys did. Oh, okay. We should do that then. And then they all did but that's how that kind of got the reputation back, because it had been stolen. Right. Now, this dance, there's a lot of different stories about how it came up with this name. I did listen to a tape of Leonard Reed My mentor has also talked to me about this because my mentor, Chester Whitmore, lived with Linda Reed. So I have a lot of lovely people in my life that I've been blessed to meet that can give me this type of information. But so the story of how the name got changed from Goofus. So apparently it was done in a club that was called the Shim Sham. And the chorus girls, this part is pretty accurate everywhere. The chorus girls started adding in a shimmy in the middle section of the song. So then the name of the song became the Shim Sham Shimmy. So that's how it got its name. That is now traveled, it's everywhere in the world. If you go to Japan, tap class, Shim Sham. They know what it is.
Oh, okay.
They know what it is. Wow. It's, to explain this in a little bit more detail, the Shim Sham is the equivalent of an anthem. So we have our national anthem. Every country has an anthem. Right. Tap dancers have an anthem. It's a Shim Sham. Okay. So that's something that you really need to know. It's something that is a bunch of moves that were placed back then. A lot of them are moves that were done then. So it's this thing that's still going on today. And there's so many different versions of the Shim Sham. People make up their own Shim Shams now. But Linda Reed made, I think, 3 versions: Shim Sham 2, and Revenge of the Shim Sham, I believe. But there's more than that, and there's other cultural dances that related to that. But that's probably the most obvious one because it is a tap dancer's anthem. That this whole thing about like dancing and coming up with the stuff, like as far as vaudeville and doing the Shim Sham, that really started taking off in tap. And then when you get to these, taking this a step back because we're talking about history, I just remember something. Minstrel shows were very interesting because they did have, Thomas Daddy Rice, like they had people that in these shows would do various things because they were made up in books. So if you wanted to do a show, you could buy a book that would tell you specific things that you could do in the show. And some of the things in the show, and this is how we come up with stereotypes. Black people like watermelon and chicken and things like that. That's where this stuff comes from, actually, specifically. Okay. And so if you wanted to create a show, you would use this book and then you would portray and do all this stuff with the paint on the face and what have you. And why would people come to this show? Because black people were a commodity if you lived in a rural area. So, oh my God, there's a black person. I've never seen one before. Right. So then if you've never seen a black person before and somebody comes with this book of this facade, then you're like, oh, that's what black people were like. So that's how we got a lot of, I wanted to make sure I made that point. Yes. That's how we got a lot of the stereotypes that we get today is from people just making up stuff. Some of it based on homeless people actually, and going, this is how black people are. I'm going to dance like this and be I'm going to be disabled and I'm going to take this from this guy that I saw disabled and then use this as a show. And this is real stuff. But like that type of I'm going to take from you and do this has been going on throughout history in different parts of black culture, but also in tap. So it's the history of how tap has moved throughout is really amazing to me because again, a lot of the stuff that's changed over time, racism, tap has broken a barrier for that. It's broken a barrier for education. It's broken a barrier to be able to, with the classes. For instance, the Shim Sham was danced by presidents. It was danced by famous boxers and people like that. And people who were tap dancers taught these people this dance. So it's a barrier breaker. Tap is a barrier breaker for people. It was in movies, especially during the MGM golden era, the 1930s. There were so many different movies that had tap dancing in it. That progressed into, it kind of died a little bit once the television came out. And then there were people who started to change the music. Miles Davis started to change his music because I need to try to fit with what's going on now. Tap didn't really change. It mostly stayed with jazz. People were experimenting, and then towards the 80s, you had Gregory Hines and Jimmy Sly try to come back and create a tap resurgence, and that's when Gregory Hines had his own band. And let's not always tap to jazz music. Right. Let's start tapping to some other stuff like that. And then, everything just kind of, that's kind of the small, like, I guess, pathway of tap. Yeah. There's obviously a lot of things in there that I did not discuss, but I'm trying to, like, narrow it down. Yeah.
Wow, you have taught us a lot. I've learned a lot. I feel like you are a walking history knowledge of tap.
I'm sorry, you sound like that's my mentor, man. I say he's a walking dictionary, and then they all repeat back to, what are you then? Like, no, it's just funny. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You are a gem, Jovon. And I just feel like you brought your board. Can you show us? I'm ready to see something.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do a little stuff. See, kind of, I don't know. I guess.
Do what you want.
Tricky to do it in a little kind of area there. So yeah. Is that enough for you?
No, that was amazing.
You do one more.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of the shim sham.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the shim sham, I should probably actually do that. So you can understand what it is. I'm not gonna do it with music. I'm just gonna start. 2, 1, 2,
Well, thank you so much, Jovon, for that demonstration. That was emotional. I just felt so many different things watching that. I feel like it's part of our history that needs to be showcased at every aspect. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you for having me. I mean, I really enjoyed the time here with you guys and being able to give the information out to people. That's my goal. Okay. So that's my goal.
And there's going to be more to come with Jovon with our sister's house. I just want to put that out there right now because I feel like this is the beginning of something, because our sister's house is all about preserving not just women but just us.
Yes.
And I feel like tap is us. And I just feel like if we can teach our kids this and keep the generations growing in this genre, that's what we want to do. So,
cool. That's where I'm at. That's we on the same page. That's where I'm at. We on the same page.
When I met you the first week, I was so excited, and now just haven't seen it in real life today. Yeah, I'm
okay.
Sold.
Cool.
I'm
okay,
sold.
Cool. Okay, I'm happy. I like what your organization is doing. I did research on it beforehand, obviously when we first met, and you guys are doing a lot of work here. You guys are doing a lot of good things for the community and for people in general. And so I appreciate that you're inviting me into your organization to come and share what I do. Yes. So thank you for inviting me today to be able to present this to your followers and the rest of the world that gets to see it. So thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Thank you. That's really nice. Well, stay tuned, like Kelly said, for more, but you can always reach Jovon. Go to his website. Anybody can tap to learn more information from him as well.
Well, this is actually not up yet, actually.
okay.
So you can go to jovonmiller.com for it now.
jovonmiller.com.
Okay.
This is going to be up pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be up pretty soon. Anybody can tap. There is social media. There's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, like TikTok, all that stuff. So you can find me on there because I'm going to start posting up videos in the next couple of weeks here because
We'll
the
be sure to
website
follow
should be
you.
up in the next couple of weeks here.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to follow you. Yep,
Follow
exactly.
and keep updated with you, but we already know. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you so much, Jovon, for being a part of our Hey Sis, You Okay podcast. We will see you guys next time.
Take care.
Bye.
Hey sis, you okay?